Boys and girls, people of all ages, welcome to Debate Crypto. In a world where hopium collides with common sense, it's your boy CryptoKeeper. We've got a special guest in the house tonight, CVO Crypto. What is going on, Paul? How you doing, brother?
Doing great, man. Pleasure to be here. Thanks, guys, for having me.
We're glad to have you.
Thanks for
Glad to
coming
have
on,
you.
dude.
As always, we've got your co-host here, Miguel, the BlockchainCrusader. What's going on, Miguel?
Doing good, man. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So, Miguel, I'll ask you what's on the podium, although I think I already kind of jumped the gun and told them what was on the podium. But go ahead, Miguel. What's on the podium this evening?
We got CVO Crypto, right? TA expert in the house, talking about TA, talking about Bitcoin, talking about Ethereum, price predictions for the end of this bull run, and we're gonna get into it deep tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to need to have on your moon boots because this man right here has got some big predictions. They are lunar. All right, so let's get into it. Miguel, kick us off.
So yeah, CVO Crypto. First question, right? What is CVO? What does CVO stand for? We've known each other for a while now, and nobody knows where's the story about CVO.
So it's funny that you guys say, "Hey, I'm no expert," so just for that,
Nice.
I just number one hottest. But yeah, so CVO right started out as years ago, 2017, right when everything was popping and going crazy. You know, crypto Twitter was and still is obviously a big spot. So I made like an account and just to I was not posting anything. I wasn't on. But I put it up and it was, I'm a huge Drake fan, right? So, and Drake's, one of his, brands and everything is October's very own. So I started up a Twitter account with like a digital, almost you could consider it an NFT almost of Drake's face, like back in the day. And it was like Digital Drizzy was his name. And it was the @ logo was @ Crypto's very own, right? So eventually that, that
Crypto's
just died off.
very own.
Crypto's very own, yeah. So I never really kept it going from that Twitter, but when I started up this TikTok account, actually that was the first name was Crypto's very own, and then I shortened it basically to put on an email address one time, and then I liked that better, and then it just kind of stuck, and so now it's like my Telegram username. If you were at me, you'd see it there, but basically it just kind of came from a crypto version of October's very own. So,
man, I was literally like thinking this through today when Miguel and I talked about it earlier. I kept thinking, I was like trying to come up with stuff, and I got the crypto part. I had the crypto part, but then the VO was what was throwing me. And yeah, crypto's very own. Okay, cool. So let me ask you this, Paul. Tell us a little something. This is going to be most of this, guys, just letting you know, is not going to be like some personal journey into Paul's life. We just want to ask him a couple questions before we get started. We're going to jump into a bunch of TA stuff and whatnot. Smash up the likes, X out of the live chat. Guys, the likes and the shares and the comments are what really helps us. Please make sure you guys like the video. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you do that. But Paul, so tell me like a little something about yourself that maybe not everybody knows.
Yeah, so just like I was kind of actually telling you guys earlier, so I have a huge, oddly enough, I haven't just been staring at charts for my entire career. I have a huge hospitality background. I started, bussing tables, waiting tables, bartending, all that stuff, for multiple years. Basically, my whole career has been in hospitality. Made my way up to food and beverage director positions at a couple of country clubs here in Naples, Florida, Fort Myers, Florida. It's actually what I was doing. It was a good time. And that was at the time my passion and whatever. Obviously 2017 came through and I just fell in love with crypto, man. And, that was when I got, highly involved in whatever, not with TA and not with charting at all. And even, it's possible to even say you couldn't even really, track it back then. And that's what everybody kind of goes with, but I'm sure you could have, but there wasn't really anybody looking at charts and it wasn't really anything. There was no on-chain analysis. There was no, it was just totally different, right? And it was so exciting even then, without all the tools and the utensils you have now. So, before I did this, I was, like I said, a food and beverage director. I started up this Telegram, a trading community, basically during the COVID crash, when everybody's kind of locked up at home for a few weeks, and that's kind of taken off now, and that's kind of transpired into my day to day now. So and so about 6 months ago, I fully left the workforce, not six, probably a little bit longer than that, but just been completely into Bitcoin, nose deep. Since 2017 at that too. After the top around 2018, I was a professional bag holder, as many others were, throughout the bear market. Went through it all, man. And it's one thing that I'm almost jealous of some people that come into the market and have some sort of direction that people like ourselves are giving, because there wasn't any of this back then, and it makes for a totally different outcome, I think, for most people. But if I didn't take those L's, and turn them into lessons, I don't think I'd be where I am today. But yeah, I just huge passion for the crypto space, and kind of more so directing people in the idea of how the market ebbs and flows, and not in this huge sense of falling in love with the projects and this and that, and stuff to that nature. So really big on trying to make sure others don't become professional bag holders at the end of this. So
awesome, dude. So yeah, man. So kind of a loaded question, but how long have you been trading, and what really got you into trading? You came from hospitality. How did that jump over happen?
So I've been trading probably ever since 2018, right? Basically, as the market pretty much bottomed, I just started. I started taking every TA course. I joined a couple of groups and this and that, because of everything I pretty much lost. I was right after the top of the market. I was doing everything wrong, just like everybody will probably end up doing. With no guidance. But it was I was chasing the tops. I was selling bottoms. I was buying tops. It was just, panic buying pumps just to kind of make up this and that. And it was just, one thing after another. And it was just doing everything wrong. So I just did not know what I was doing by any means. And so about 2018, when the market just totally stagnated out, everything kind of bottomed. It was kind of boring for a bit. Like I said, I went through all these courses, this and that. Started, got involved with a couple of communities as well. And then just, learning how to trade small amounts, this and that, risk management, and just kind of started building from there. And just slowly, over the last 3-4 years, it's just became, the everyday, right? So I had the regular job for quite a while just to kind of keep that security, but I built up so much in my portfolio that I was like, all right, well, I can, I've been doing this now consistently to the point where I could hold myself over, and then, and then some, basically. So I'd probably say since 2018, pretty fully, 2019 and 20 has just been I've just been straight, intermediately trading the entire time, and then building some bags and everything like that. But and then now it's just active. The leverage trading really changed the game. But that also took a lot of getting used to, right? So
yeah.
many people do not, even myself, right? I still take, you still lose on those, 4 times out of 10. So you only need to be 60% profitable to be profitable. So
no, that's man, leverage trading is the one thing, Paul, that I have never done as long as I've been in the crypto space, over 5 years now. I've never got into leverage trading, and I'll tell you why. It's probably just because I think that I've done well enough holding that for me it was why am I going to take the risk? But that being said, I have been getting the itch for a while just to put a little chunk of money into an account and do a trading account. So maybe if you convince me tonight that the TA is that solid, maybe I'll start doing a trading account. So speaking of portfolio, Paul, now obviously you don't have to get in specifics with how much you hold, but I'm saying, what does your portfolio look like? And is it something that you're just in and out? Do you have long-term holds? What's your portfolio look like?
So at this point, Litecoin was my first coin I got into in 2017, and the majority of that I accumulated between $3 and $30, and that was with small amounts, but still, from the 3 to when the top of the market hit, that definitely grew quite a bit, unrealized, unfortunately. But between that and Tron and Ripple and a bunch of things that accumulated through 2017, that portfolio grew substantially. And then, like I said, it kind of dwindled away throughout the years of the bear market. And I basically just kind of, went back to my initial holding in Litecoin, and I just kind of threw that on a ledger. And between that and a few small cap, like just super risky, like bird money is one of them, right? Like just like the super, risky low cap that I've been in for a little bit, just kind of accumulating on small pullbacks, this and that. It's called bird money. So it's like
money.
Yeah, bird money finance. Yeah, but like that's just one of the few. But honestly, at this point, I'm not in anything of note. I'm long enough for it to matter, right? Like Litecoin is pretty much, and I have some XRP too. Like the two of those are pretty much the only two I got locked away that are up substantially, from years now of holding. So at this point, I don't anticipate that those will ever be losers, and I'll probably plan on working my way out of those at the end of the run, possibly around January. Other than that, everything else is in and out. It's basically a trading portfolio, but that's just my strategy at this point, right? Just with what I have, the strategy I've kind of adopted to is definitely more so of the trading actively, where I still have that X amount that's just the moon bag, so to speak. I got a few right now that I just got into that are kind of newer coins, newer projects. Not necessarily like new, like last week new, but just a couple lower cap, mid cap gems, and then things like Chainlink and Polkadot. Jumping into those two right now too for the remainder of the bull run as well. But really for me, man, I think back to 2018. I had this one statement really stood out to me. 2017 at the end of the bull run, and when I started trading, it made more sense. And it still makes sense to me now. And this one guy got interviewed, 2017, Bitcoin's running up to like 18, 19K, 17K, whatever it was, right before the top. And somebody was like, is it too late to get into Bitcoin? Is it too late to get into Bitcoin? And they said, I think you're too early at this point, right? Because, a year later, it'd be, at a great entry point, but nobody really understood that at the time. The other thing he said, somebody asked him the same thing, what's your portfolio like? And he said, I'm not in anything long enough for it to matter. And at the time I was like, that's dumb, whatever. And then I realized that I was the one that possibly was dumb at that point. But yeah, so I mean, that's just I got a little bit of a different strategy than most, but it's working out well so far. So
that's crazy, dude. So before we get into the juicy stuff, right? One last question is, what made you focus on the technicals over the fundamentals? Right? What really made you say, hey, I want to be a trader instead of a fundamental hodler, dollar cost averaging, long-term investing? What really got you into that mindset?
So that is probably my favorite question. So right now, my strategy is 5 years down the road. Or 4 or 5 years, I guess. My strategy would be this short term, which is basically this bull run. It's a trading strategy to accumulate, basically build up as much Bitcoin, not Bitcoin itself, but build up as much buying power. Let's say that in all
stacking
coins.
Sats, yeah.
Stacking Sats, right. To accumulate Bitcoin in the next bear market lows for the following bull run's top of Bitcoin, or even just the following years, right? To hold for 10, 20 years down the road, whatever that may be, because eventually Bitcoin is going to me. I think the Bitcoin that eventually will, it's already priced people out at this point. Not many people can whip out 60K for one Bitcoin.
Yep.
And if we top around 200, 250, that's going to put an 80% retrace back at 40, right? So if you can 10, 20, 30, 100x your portfolio in the next few months, hold throughout the bear market, making some smart moves throughout that, and then buy back in, with X amount of buying power, pick up a few Bitcoins, whatever, the next Bitcoin projection, and I know this is going to sound outlandish at the moment, but it's upwards of $2 million of Bitcoin, right? So
that's what I'm talking about, baby.
So that's a story for another time. The other thing is the fundamentals.
Shout to that rocket.
So the fundamentals, this is such an exponential market and such an exponential asset class. And what I mean by that is obviously, as we see, it exponentially moves upwards or downwards. It's not like the stock market. It doesn't have a decade of support and resistance behind, or not a decade, but it doesn't have 100 years of support and resistance behind it. And it doesn't run off of, solely, earnings reports and all this and all that quite yet, because it's just so new, right? It's just literally in the stages of just building up. Now, the thing with fundamentals, Ethereum, for perfect example, mind you, 2018, and everything, XRP dropped 99%, Ethereum dropped 90%.
Oh yeah, we got murdered. We were all back.
Bitcoin dropped 83%. But what happened to the fundamentals in 2018 from 2017? Nothing changed.
Yeah, not financially.
Right. Everybody at work didn't, just stop going working for Ethereum. The developers didn't just quit. They actually built more over the bear market, right? You started coming into the DeFi ecosystem and this and that. So to me, it was like
the CME futures, I guess, would be the only the Chicago Mercantile Exchange would have been the only thing that I can think, and that's when we absolutely just plummeted from there.
Right. So that alone was what kind of drove me to be like, all right, how does this market work? And once again, like, not to be the guy that's just all about like, oh, just in it to make all these profits and this and that. But realistically, I think that everybody would be lying to themselves if they said that they weren't in crypto to make gains, right? Like,
life-changing money, right? Everybody wants to find that financial freedom.
Otherwise, you're in it for the tech, right? As everybody says. But so the idea here is that it's very simple, right? It comes down to this 4-year cycle, and there's every 210,000 blocks, which is around 4 years, not necessarily exact, but we all know what happens then is the Bitcoin halving, right? It's a supply shock that basically initiates
the next cycle.
Yeah, exactly, because you cut the amount that's hitting that miners are able to produce and put onto the open market, so on and so forth. And, you have this, huge bull run that, happens for about a year and a half, and it tops. And then you have basically a bear market for a year of consolidation. And then you basically restart the bull run slowly for about a year. And then you have the full on blast. And at the end of the day, it comes down to the people who patiently bought 3-4 years ago at $3,000 Bitcoin, $90 ETH, been scooping it up, right? They're going to offload that onto the market, right? They're going to have, and they don't pick. That's some of us, right? As far as like, we're riding the coattails, but for the most part, that's big institutional investors. And I don't care what anybody says. The institutions have been here. They know what's been going on. They actively say it now, but they've been around. They've been scooping this stuff up in the bear market, this and that. Nobody's just going around buying $60,000 Bitcoin and just now finding it as a useful beneficiary. So, so basically it's just when it comes down to it, thinking of things like Cardano, right, is up 200, 300x in the last year and a half. The person that bought that at a penny is going to sell that at some point, right? So to initiate that, you need all this hype, you need the media, you need all this stuff. So all these major institutions and the people who are really running the show, running the media, running everything, you see all these all of a sudden start pushing NFTs and this and that. Like it's all game, right? At the moment. And maybe it always has been and always will be, but that's what's going to initiate this huge blow off top. Where that ends, who knows? But it's basically to formulate, the retail investor that everybody we know is going to rush in because now they've heard about people making 200x off Solana and 200x off of Cardano and and all the meme coins and Sheba. The Sheba shillers are out with on the prowl. And it's to me, like I said, like I've been just analyzing, and I've overanalyzed this market at this point for just years and years and years. And I've had different scenarios, right? Originally, I had a couple scenarios where one was like, okay, maybe this is an extending blah, blah, blah. Well, that idea broke right back in May when we broke through the 21 weekly EMA. And at that point, I had to scrap that idea. And I was like, all right, this is the 4-year cycle then. I mean, this is the only thing that makes sense is the 4-year cycle. And as soon as I switched to that, as soon as I adopted that full-on idealism, I've been able to nail this market day in and day out for the last 5 months straight, pretty convincingly, right? So it's pretty impressive, I guess, on how it works, and to see that we possibly just have a few more months, and in a short period's time, what can happen? Like we're at $60,000 Bitcoin, which we've pretty much been. If you closed your eyes in April and opened them again today, we're at the same spot. And then to think that in 90 days, actually 60 days, in 60, 70 days from now, that Bitcoin could be 200 to 300. Really, I mean, it could blow right past 250 and top out at 280, 275, whatever.
Let's go, baby. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to hear.
But what'll happen at that point too is in my opinion, is that back in June or July, whenever we were at 30K, and I was, not just me, multiple people, but we had this idea. It was like, I was basically telling, a lot of people were looking at $20,000 coming into play.
Yep.
And that was going to be another 50% drop. And a lot of people got shaken out. And it was 2.5 months of just, weird sideways action and just fearfulness. And I was like, look, this is exactly how this goes. You get a summer the only thing different this time was that
summer lullaby.
You get a summer sell-off, you get a September sell-off. The thing that happened a little different was we just rallied really hard, really fast in the beginning of this year, and we topped out a little earlier than usual, right? Like usually we get the July top, and we topped in like April, right? So which makes sense because then we had these 2 months of like sideways consolidation, which we have never really seen before. But the day that we launched from 29K from that bottom was exactly the time frame from each previous cycle. 150 days later has always been the top. So that puts us about middle of December, end of December, and so on. But what I was going to say about that is that we $200,000 is now getting really like adopted by people. Everybody's kind of welcoming that idea.
Yeah.
Which is kind of which is to the point now where it's like, if everybody expects that, what's going to happen? But what I think more than anything will happen is that we'll start breaching these massive numbers coming up. And then same thing as always happens, right? When we got down to $30,000, everybody automatically is like, well, we're going to 20. If we would have got down to 20, what do you expect next? Well, we're going to 10. So if we get to 200, 250, I think that everybody, and what I mean by everybody, not just people around, but like the media is going to push, Michael Saylor will come out, somebody, all the people, all these, big, mainstream names will come out saying, oh, Bitcoin could go to 500K. Bitcoin could go to $1 million this year, first 6 months. And Plan B is one that I'd keep an eye on because he just initiated this, extra 6 months into the bull run that I think is going to be one that really tricks.
Did he really?
Up. Yeah, he stated that the bull run could last another 6 months or whatever from whatever time, even if it's from right now. That still puts it into the end of Q1, and I think a lot of people will blindly follow.
I think that would only happen, and Nick and I have discussed that, is if an ETF gets announced and the launch date is Q1 of 2022, then I think Bitcoin's hype and FOMO could push its price till that point, and then we'll see a 2017 scenario where when the futures contract went on, instant dump. And I think Nick agrees with that as well.
I agree with that. So 2017, everybody magically thought that, we got the CME futures, and we even got ETF talk back then too. But the CME futures was what everybody was under the impression was going to be the magic thing that made it different this time. And that we would continue, throughout whatever. I fully believe that the ETF is going to be the nail in the coffin, right? When that comes out or something around there, that's going to be the instrument that inevitably takes us down, among other things. But and then there's the super cycle idea. There's Plan B, putting out these ideas into later on into Q1. DeFi staking, which if the price action is coming down, staking is not going to be. They're going to liquidate you essentially, right? In some of these pools here. So I just don't think that.
Paul, let me cut you off for a second.
Go ahead.
So my question, I apologize for cutting you off, but I don't want to get too far out of where we were. I want to ask you something. So you are very openly talking about the fact that this is institutionally manipulated. You agree with that? Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, it always has been. Yes, like It's not like any different.
No. I'm with you. I'm with you. So my question becomes: if it's institutionally manipulated, right? And there's a bunch of Pauls that are starting to pop up everywhere. What makes you feel that you will be able to trade off of why are these institutions not going to play with you as well? There's a whole bunch of people that get together, they talk about this. So like with trading, it's God, I'm like fumbling over my words right now.
It's bias.
Trading, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Yeah. And so because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, the institutions know that as well. So where I get tripped up a little bit is where I say, okay, Paul, I'm on board with everything that you're saying. Okay, cool, this, that, and the third. But why are the institutions going to allow you to trade right along with them, where at some point they've got to rock the boat. They've got to change something. And we do not know when that's going to be, but it has to happen. If not, everybody's just going to get on board with the 4-year cycles. Everybody's going to get on board with when there's a bull pennant, here's what's going to happen. Do you see it? Like, does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, for sure. So this is the thing, right? So in technical analysis too, it's not a crystal ball, right? It's like if you took a bowling ball and you rolled it across a picnic table. You got two odds, right? It's going to go left or right, up or down, right? It's everybody's joke. It's going to go up or down.
Yeah.
But you look at a picnic table and you're rolling this bowling ball down, right? This is just an example. And as it's going, you're just kind of waiting to see what will happen. If it starts veering to the left, you obviously know that there's more probability it's going to roll off to the left side and hit X amount of spots. You're going to hit the seat, and then you're going to hit the ground, right? And then to the right side, the same deal, right? So the thing with that is that sometimes there's a nick in there, or a fake out, whatever. And it's not all just like, I'm not looking at this chart and I'm like, I 100% can say that this is going to happen in the day to day. And that's where they trick us up, is the day to day, right? So if if $250,000 is going to be the top for Bitcoin, and it's well adopted at this point, it's just like 6 months ago when everybody was looking forward to $100,000 Bitcoin and we were at 65. And I mean, everyone was on board with that idea. And
it was going to keep going.
Exactly. We dropped to 30. We get one major pullback. And while you're living that, it changes everybody's perspective. It shakes.
So it's the shakeouts is what you're saying. It's the price action that happens at the end of the day. You believe that it's going to a certain point, but it's when the shakeouts happen, and that's literally shaking people out because they think all of a sudden exactly what I just said. Oh, wait a minute. Things just changed. Never mind. That's not what's going on, is essentially what you're saying.
Exactly. And also, like, you got the three of us in a room right now, right? So I know that, Miguel has been around since 2017. I believe you have as well, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So we have three different total, skill sets and idealisms here, depending on how much time you've been able to dedicate to the market, right? On top of that, I'm a small account. Even on social media, right? You have way more people on social media and with more influence, which I know that sounds foolish, but that's just where everybody's getting their information from at this point. Even if I get to 300,000 people, let's just say followers and whatever, the amount of people with millions of followers, with hundreds of thousands of followers ahead of me already, that have been around for years and this and that, it's only going to take them getting tricked, I guess, into the idea of, like, once again, when we get to the point of $250,000, it's very easy. All those same people who
you're saying,
not like me in the sense of, like, I didn't say, when we got down to $30,000, I held the ground, right? I held it saying, we're not going to 20. We're not going to 20.
Right.
A lot of people, though, switch gears after a few days, after a few weeks, and they started saying because they didn't want to be wrong, right? So when we get to this point of 250 is the top, and it's misunderstood that 250 is a range, right? 250 could be 265, 270, 210. Like, it's not going to be, not that exact dollar amount. But if we start punching through 250, right, and you see 260, 270, 280, whatever the case may be, and that's really maybe more so the top, right? If, for example, everybody and their mother, especially because we get to these levels just like today, right? We get up to $3,800, and I'm for Ethereum, and I'm looking at this as, all right, this is possibly going to pull back, right, pretty decently. But at the time when you're living through 38, 38.20, 38.30, you see the price going up like for a couple days. It gets to people, and they switch their scenarios so that they're not wrong, right? So it's very confusing in the intraday. The day to day is what gets everybody choked up, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. If that answers that at all.
Yeah,
no, it does for sure.
Yeah, so I guess my follow-up question to that would be, when it comes to smart money, just how we're doing TA, you're doing TA, right? And there's a bunch, crypto weatherman, everyone's doing TA, looking at these price points, right? We have the market cipher that BitBoy likes to use. Everyone's looking for indicators. Smart money has all these tools too, plus more, plus they have hundreds of guys working for them, all doing analysis, and they have the capital, right? They have the capital. They got bots. So what stops them from, if right now the TA is saying, hey, 250K, but they're going to say, hey, at 150, we're going to hit the brakes. We're not going to let this thing pass 150. Like, how can you account for something like that? Or what do you think is going in the background with the institutions to allow these cycles to keep going according to everyone's average TA and get somewhere there, versus them just saying, hey, we're not going to let that happen and we're going to hit the brakes?
So once again, this comes down to the blow off top. So it depends on how much liquidity can start entering into the market. And once, like, just the idea of, right, like, the people who bought this, the major institutions, the major players, like they need to offload. And at $100,000 Bitcoin, to me, like just like we are right now, that's what 65-70% flip in Bitcoin. Let's just say, right? Totally could. You could totally pull the market down, but you could have pulled it down at 65K. But if you look back, there's not a lot of liquidity coming out right then and there. So once again, if you would have bought Bitcoin at $3,000, and in the world of crypto, where you can exploit this market to the moon, literally, and have everybody and their mother jumping in with the idea that they're going to get rich overnight to come in and buy this stuff. When the liquidity is low, why would the market, top? Not even why, but it's almost impossible for them to dump their bags, right? Because if you're going to top the market at 100K, realistically, a lot of these, huge whales are going to end up having to sell. Like the order book won't be stacked, right? At 100K, you're not going to really be selling. Not many people are going to rush to buy at 100K, right?
You think a lot of people won't rush in to buy at 100K?
No, I think there's going to be a bunch of sell orders.
Right. I don't think it'll be right at 100K, right? So I'm looking at, the run up to about 90 or 100K. And to me, 100K is going to fulfill a prophecy like we just talked about, right? Like I know Ben, BitBoy has an idea right now that 100K could be the top, 120 could be the top. And that's actually, you're kind of split in between these two, scenarios where it's 100 or it's 200, right? So, and if you think back, so the thing with me is like, I remember vividly the end of 2017, more than anything, maybe not the beginning of the year, but 2017.
So do I.
Like September, October, November, I remember like it was yesterday, and $10,000 Bitcoin was at the time without charting and nothing. Cause like I said, nobody really charted it. You had a few analysts that like this one guy, Haitian Lee, who I think still like he just got it wrong all the time. Like it wasn't even worth like I don't know how even he's still around and doing things, but everything he would talk about would get you excited, and then it never came to pass. And anyway, so $10,000 was everybody's like height, like everybody's like that was the top kind of deal, and then you ripped to 20, right? So on top of that,
I think 100K has that same psychological effect. I think people are thinking that 100K is going to be hard to get past, but I think the level of attention the media is going to be giving at 100K Bitcoin, when people see that on headlines, 100K Bitcoin, they're like, wait a minute, what? I need to get myself some Bitcoin right now.
But let me jump in real quick before you keep going on that, Paul. So let's go one step further with it. 100K being this big psychological barrier, this big either it's going to absolutely rip from there or the brakes are going to come on, in my opinion. One of those two is going to happen. But here's my question. If it gets to 250, right? And I do agree. I'll use, you said BitBoy a minute ago. I'll use Ben as an example. The one thing I do agree with him on is, why would they let it go that high this quick? Because the reality is people are going to start backing away from the legacy system. They're going to say, listen, there's a decent amount more risk, but the returns are exponential. And people are going to just start saying, hey, this is simple for me. I'm pulling out of Tesla. I'm pulling out of Apple. I'm pulling out of Facebook. I'm jumping into freaking crypto because the upside is so freaking huge. Why not?
Yeah, right. Holding Tesla, holding Google, Facebook for 5 years is going to get you nowhere near the returns out if you just buy one Bitcoin and hold for 5 years.
Yeah.
So this conversation could go on to a totally different tangent, but I have a totally different outlook on the stock market, right? So the stock market, to me, I know that everybody's anticipating a huge pullbacks and maybe we'll get a pullback in the stock market, but I did I think you guys might have seen, I might have sent it to you, but it's, a pretty deep dive into the market cycles for, both it's not the US, not the S&P 500, but it was on the Dow Jones.
Yeah, I did see that.
The 18-year cycle, and then the housing market, right? Whereas everybody's anticipating the housing market's going to crash, and we're super overvalued and whatever, and blah blah blah. And trust me, I mean, I'm sure every state has its thing going on, and in Florida right now, you cannot get a house.
Tell me about it, bro.
But on top of that, you got the only people buying houses are in cash for hundreds of $1,000s more. And for the most part, they're investors, right? Like you get the occasional person that might have sold their house and made a profit. Now they have cash to buy, but for I was like, so if you're telling me that if the market's about to crash, why would a hedge fund manager or anybody in that category be willing to purchase how
but I have an answer for you on this one.
I know it goes with the dollar and all that, but anyway, like I said, that can go to a totally separate conversation. So we'll keep it simple here. The evaluation of whatever, like you just said, everything is exponential. To me, what is so exponential between $100,000 and a $200,000 Bitcoin? That's only 100% more, right? And I'm going to share my screen if that's okay.
Only 100%.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
You're in crypto just like I am, aren't you? Only 100%. It's only 100%.
I know, but to talk about anything else in crypto, you'd be. I mean, that's nothing. That's to say that they could just cut it right here at 50, right? Like, so
I'm with you.
I know. I'm just and whatever, and maybe I'm wrong, but by all means, like, I'm not saying it's got to be this, but this is just my belief.
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah. No, we want to hear it, dude. We want to hear it.
So 2017, right? This is the bull run. This is, like I said, I can type it in here for anybody watching. I go over this quite often, in my live streams and everything like that. And you essentially had this was June of 2017, right? You had your summer sell off, you had your September sell off, and then literally from this point, this was the 17th of September, right?
Okay.
To December 19th, Bitcoin rallies 6x. All right. So what I'm getting at with that, with the $100,000 top and all this and all that, I believe that we're in, and so far, aside from, like I said, just this whole move right here, basically, we had this, and then we had the new higher high, which is the only difference for Bitcoin. Now, Ethereum has followed the 2017 price action from June and September to the T, right? So that's why a lot of my things are focused on Ethereum. I don't really care about Bitcoin, right? I long it and whatever, and I have the target of 250. But as far as altcoins, which that's another separate thing, Ethereum is the indicator to me, right? Ethereum to me is going to top out around $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 in January, and that's going to be the sell signal. And for a lot of other people, they're going to be looking for 30K, right? 27, 30K.
Yeah,
and that's
20K ETH, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to make sure everybody's a professional bag holder. So the move that I think we're in is similar to this right here for Bitcoin, right? It's the Bitcoin C speak. And from this move, from the September low, Bitcoin rallied like 150%, giving up like almost no pullbacks. You had a few pullbacks to this daily EMA, which was like 10 and 12% here and there, which I think we're pretty much due for one soon. So like that was like 15%, right? Bought up really quickly. 15%, not even 12%, bought up pretty quickly. And in equivalent, this would be the run up to 100K for us now in 2021, right? So this would be mid-November, beginning of November, whatever. We top out around 80, 90, 100K, right? And then we'd have this major pullback right here. So this is going to be a very confusing time to a lot of people if we see something like this. It's about 30%. If you get up to $100,000 and see a 30% pullback, you're talking the entire Bitcoin value from June getting pulled out of this market, right? Like that is gonna, the dollar amount is going to be what shakes people up, not the percentage. And that's, this is also going to fulfill the idea that maybe that was the top. Because this is a daily chart. So if you see a move like this for 5-6 days in a row, it starts to weigh on people, right? If it's not an instant gratification, the market doesn't shoot right back up, it starts messing with people. People start changing their ideas.
Yeah, dude, 100%. People get shaky real quick.
Exactly. And then this is exactly what happened to us back then, right? We had like 70, this was an $8,000 Bitcoin. You had this pullback, so on and so on. You had a few more pullbacks along the way, but they were so quick that it wasn't even worth anything. And then
so you don't think that would be a big enough shakeup? You don't think that would be a big enough shakeup in November, December, whatever, where we go from 100 to 70? And again, guys, for all of you watching, smash up the likes, make sure you sub, all that good stuff. But we are purely speculating. As you guys know, we are always just talking these things through. So for any of you guys jumping on, wondering what we're getting after here, we're looking at TA and what it means, and Paul's CVO's view on the market. So let's say we have that 100 and then it pulls back to 70. You think it's so driven by, and I would tend to agree with you on this, but you think it's so driven by institutional money that we're
going to bounce back?
That the retail trader falls off. I think the problem is, though, isn't the retail trader supposed to be the ones buying the top from you know what I mean? Isn't that going to shake everybody out?
So that's the deal, right? Like, is that the retail investor is going to be the one to come in and buy the tops, right? So
right.
it's back. So yeah, you broke up a little bit there, so I didn't really catch what you said necessarily.
I was saying if
I'm not, and once again, like
I was saying if it drops from 100 to 70, just for a thought process, if it drops from 100 to 70, and I would assume that that's going to shake out most of the retail trading. You're saying that when it flips back around from there and starts to run again, retail is going to jump right back in and say, "Oh, it was a bear trap," and I fell for it.
Yeah, I can see that happen. I can definitely see that happening.
I mean, that's exactly what like this is the thing. You can't underestimate the power of the media, and that's what, and in the media, I take that away. It's the price action alone, right? So even, that's the number one hype tool. Bitcoin, and I go over this all the time with the people, in the trading group and everything like that. So the psychology of it is that even without any news catalyst for Bitcoin, if Bitcoin breaches 65K tomorrow, bet your sweet ass that everybody's shooting into this market, right? Like, just because the headlines after that, like it doesn't even matter. Everybody checks their phone, and anybody jumped out at 30K, 40K, whatever. If we bust through 65,000, even without a reason, it's going to incite the most amount of FOMO. Same thing. We dropped to 70K. Everybody's going to wait for lower, obviously. Maybe it's the bear market now, blah, blah, blah. And then we just pump back up to 85, 90. Well, now the $250 or 250K target comes back in everybody's mind, and they FOMO back in, and they don't want to miss out. Well, when we get up to those next levels and we get a pullback or whatever, well, then it's, we're so used to these pullbacks now. That's the thing. You get used to this stuff, right? Like right now we're only used to the market going up a little bit and down a lot. And like in the last few months, but when you got 90 days of just sheer straight upward movement and 10% pullback, maybe the occasional, it's going to be simple, man. It really is. And like I said, the media, the big players, like the people who run the media, just even think about that. They're gearing up to basically sell their bags to the people, and there's endless opportunities of what they can present and pitch out to everybody to get everybody on board with it. When you watch this for years and don't get in, it's comes to fruition, man. Like it's so far this has been spot on, which has been crazy to see.
Dude, I agree, right? The same thing was seen with Sheba, right? Sheba died and nobody was talking about it. The minute it had a pump, that's it. Everybody started talking about Sheba again. That's it. Sheba's back on. Even though it had another retracement, people are just still saying, buy up Sheba. Sheba's going to pump again. And I think it's the same effect, right? But at a larger market cap, which is Bitcoin, and more people focus on Bitcoin than, taking the risk of investing in Sheba. But somebody in the comments said something, right? Educate people about the risk. So that would be my follow-up question for you, right? Like how accurate could these predictions be with this level of manipulation? And let's say you're calling for a 250K top, right? And there is some level of manipulation to put the brakes on things. How do you take that? How do you show that across to people? Like, hey, like even though TA is showing this and this, like, it might not happen.
How do you show risk management?
Yeah, risk management, right?
So that's a great question, right? I mean, risk management is definitely, obviously the biggest factor. At this point, we're talking about a 90-day window here of investing and trying to capture massive gain opportunities. Yeah. So if you're looking, honestly, if you're trying to invest, investing is not that, right? Like long-term investing is long-term. Like you're talking 5 years down the road, blah, blah, blah. And you're talking about money that you're looking to grow and have work for you and not need that for mortgage in 4 months, right? Using that, like the risk of all that is just that. Like anything you're putting into this market, plan on losing 90% at any moment. That's just the reality, right? This market owes nobody anything, and it's not going to be fair, and it's not going to be whatever. So if that's something everybody has to come to terms with, you're playing with the whales in the end of this. So the money that you put into this market, you can absolutely grow exponentially, but it's going to be work, and it's going to be emotional, and it's going to be like I said, you're going to have everything thrown at you. You're going to have super pullbacks. You're going to have bands and FUD and every step of the way. Every day, this
Yeah.
market is meant to shake you out. Bull market, bear market, it doesn't matter. It's meant to shake out the average person every step of the way and then make you buy back in at a higher price. So as far as a risk management goes, yeah, I could be wrong, right? It could top out. We could have a double top at 65K and just shit the bed for the next 5 years. For realistically, right? That's the idea. So if you're not prepared to do that, then you're probably over leveraged in that position and in that idea set. So I guess as far as that goes, yeah, I mean, at any moment, anybody could be wrong. I'm just a guy. I have idea sets. Many others do as well. A lot of conflicting idea sets all across the board, right? And you guys are asking great questions. I'm actually really enjoying this panel here because this is stuff I don't normally get thrown at me. So it's good to kind of dispute these things. But
I love the idea that you put out there. The two things that I love the idea that you just put out there is this market doesn't owe anyone anything. And that is one of the things that, for our channel and for what we're about, we're all about education, and then helping people game plan. And when we talk about game planning and education with people, we say, listen, we can help educate you. You can educate the heck out of yourself. You can find anything and everything you want if you know the right questions to ask. However, that game planning part is the piece that is so hard because everyone has individual different things going on in their life. The money means something different to them. Are they truly playing with money that they, can afford to lose? Are they not? And so everybody's idea of what's acceptable and what's not is so much different. So I love the idea of you just reminding people this market doesn't owe anyone anything. That's huge. The other thing that actually really hit me, Paul, when I was talking to you earlier about well, wait a minute, why would they let it get that high? This, that, and the third. And you mentioned look, all of these tops are meant to shake people out at that point and or buy those tops. And I wasn't thinking about the fact that, in May, when that drop happened, I had a $4,000 sell order on a bunch of ETH. And I got greedy. I pulled the order and I continued to let it to run, right? And then May 12th or May 13th or whatever, I saw a six-figure change in my portfolio like that overnight. And that was A, very discouraging, but B, that's a great example of what you're talking about here. You're talking about, hey, the average person isn't going to bode well with that. And it is going to shake most of the people out. I didn't shake out at that point. However, a lot of people would. And then guess what? Now we're back to where we were essentially at that point. And you see people buying back in. And so you're so right. People are so much motivated by FOMO. So many people do these markets wrong. They buy green candles and they sell red candles. And that's not the freaking point.
Right.
That's all they do. Chase green candles and FOMO. 100%.
And the patience level too, right? Because when you're buying red candles and obviously there's, this is one thing too that I know BitBoy talks on a lot is there's a difference between buying a dip and buying a bear market, right? There's, you got to kind of understand the timing a little bit there. But, and Miguel, when you brought up Sheba, that was a perfect example. And I'm not dogging anybody in Sheba that's made money. Good for anybody that's done that. We make Sheba moves all the time just on real things, right? Which
tradable, but not investable.
Yeah, and maybe it is, right? Once again, that's been one of the best performers out of the whole market. So good for anybody that's taking that risk. But it's just, I don't know. To me, I overlook those things, and we set them up for certain trade setups, but that's not where I'm gonna, that's not where I focus basically. But anyways, what you said though made perfect sense because Sheba. Once again, what drives the FOMO? Doesn't matter what news catalyst, it's the price, right?
It's
when
the price.
Pumped 200% the other day, instantly, everybody was back on Sheba. Didn't matter who it was, every single person. I put out certain things on my personal Facebook to my friends and family, literally just trying to educate them on the idea and try to save them from buying the top and all this. And I put out my story all the time. I'm like, look, don't be a bag holder like I was years ago. If you're going to be into this, look into this. Sheba's going to be the thing, a tool that is going to capture you at the top, Dogecoin did years ago. And once again, people say Dogecoin, if you would have bought that 1 year ago, it X this much. Well, there's a difference between buying Dogecoin in 2020 into 2021 and selling than there is from buying Dogecoin from 2017 into 18, right? That 1 year difference of the two times is when we dropped 90% and when it also propelled, X amount, thousand, whatever it went. And that's where everybody gets lost, right? Because man, we all know at this point too, right? The bear market is no joke, right?
Oh no, dude.
Everybody, that
people don't realize how how destructive the bear market is. People think that the summer lullaby of 2 months was terrible. You saw how people got discouraged, right? How people completely disappeared. Yeah. People were dying in the bear. Yes, exactly, bro. Exactly. And now we're gonna have to wait 2 years to ever see a good green week candle. And it's like, guys, you guys barely survived 2 months. Don't think you're gonna diamond hand or you're gonna survive the bear market. You're going to sell for a loss because you didn't do your research. You don't know what you're investing in, and you're just chasing green candles.
Right.
So let me ask you this, Paul. Exponentially, do you believe that these cycles are going to continue? Just in your opinion, do you think that we are going to continue with the 4-year cycles with the Bitcoin halving being the catalyst, and then the institutions are basically using the bear market to accumulate, and then they're using the bull market to continue to sell us tops? Is that essentially, you think they're just going to rinse and repeat?
I do for quite a while, and the reason being is that you always run into the same situation at both scenarios, and it's the cliche term, this time is gonna be different, right? So that comes into play every major move. So when we were down at $30,000, any analyst out there that was showing, hey, we've never retested the previous all-time high, blah 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 blah. Any reason you could throw at why we're not going to 20K, nobody wanted to hear it, right? Because it was just, the demeanor was there, the sentiment was there, it was bearish, everybody's just used to it going down, it crashed, there's all this bad news, how could it ever get back to 60K or 100K? It's a pipe dream. And this bull run is done, this time is different, we already topped, blah 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 blah. And once again, it's rinse and repeat, man. Like it's almost so simple from a macro perspective, but once again, the day to day will constantly shake people out.
That's such a good point.
For years to come, I think. And then once again, we get to $250,000. And I'm going to show you, and I think I showed you, Nick, one time on Wendy O's show, right? We went through the everything, and you were asking about the diminishing returns as well, which I showed that we still were diminishing returns, right? So
can you show that again?
I will. Yep, that's going to be the next thing I show. But the idea of that is, once again, when we get to $250,000, just picture the next 60 days and we start climbing $20,000 days in Bitcoin, because you're going to have to, right? We're going to have to see complete 2017 market valuation per day, to get to these levels. And with barely any pullbacks, Ethereum's going to climb, everything, all the altcoins are going to start exploding. And the euphoria that will ensue the planet, really, man. Like, and this is the thing, everybody asks like where all this money is going to come from, and sadly, it's going to come from everybody we know. And whether they reach out to you, even if you could say, hey, man, you should sell. I literally went on to all my friends and family at certain times, and I was like, for Sheba and Doge and all this, and like, look, you shouldn't wait for that dollar, target for Doge, because it's just everybody's waiting on that dollar. Like, sell early, sell early. Nah, I'm gonna wait. It's gonna go more. It's gonna go, and you just, no matter what you say, the people will just get greedy. It doesn't matter, right? You can literally come out and show this is the top, and then somebody somewhere is gonna be like, nah, Michael Saylor says it's going to go 388, so I'm going to go with that. And, Plan B says it's going to go another 6 months, so I'm just going to let it ride, right? And then you get stuck in a 50% drop. And at that point, now, because you've seen your account at a certain level, and now that it's lower, you can't deal with that. So now you're going to wait for it to go back to at least where it was. Then you'll sell, maybe. And then, obviously, we're in the bear market at that point.
That's so freaking true.
Yeah, so
it comes down to that, like, psychology almost, right? Like, and then once again, you get to 250, the next target's just going to be 300, and then 350, and then everybody's just going to keep pushing the can down the road before anybody's like, because once again, we're going to sit at these valuations for a few days, and you sit at these levels, and it's going to be like people are going to be, biting their nails, like, maybe I'm wrong, it's maybe we're going 400K, like, and then it was
people get nervous and greedy. But before we move on, so what you were talking about, right? that this time is going to be different. It's most likely not going to be different. I agree, right? I agree. We will see that gigantic drop. Bitcoin will have a parabolic blow off top, but we need to consider things have been changing. I believe that even through this next bear market, the difference is going to be the volatility is going to be a lot higher than any other bear market that we've had before, for the simple fact of we're going to have more nations adopting Bitcoin slowly. We're going to have more companies putting Bitcoin on its balance sheets. We're going to see more of this institutional play throughout the bear markets. And I think that's going to cause a lot more volatility in the bear market than what we're used to in previous cycles, where it's kind of just a dead, no man's zone. Nobody's talking about Bitcoin. Nobody's buying. The price isn't moving. It's just going lower and lower. What do you think about that?
So, I'm quite the contrary on that, because once again, I remember the bear market very vividly as well. And, looking back, I know how I could have done it differently. And this is actually one thing I'm very, very excited for, because while, we're going to do pretty well in the next few months here, I'm going to share my screen again, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Everything is just everything's based on more percentage gains, right? Like for 2012 and 10 and whatever, you had another basement, and we talked about the bearded basement boys, right? Joking about that. But Bitcoin tops at Bitcoin topped at $1,200, right? So how do you get Bitcoin to $20,000, right? So now you gotta offer it to more people. It's got to be more available. Blah blah blah. You got Coinbase and more exchanges down the road. 2016 happens. So you get it to 20K, and then how do you get Bitcoin to $200,000? Well, it's got to be more available. So now on Coinbase, we had 3 coins on Coinbase in 2017. You have close to 100 now. You have Crypto.com, and you have all these just easily accessible exchanges. Like anybody at any point in this planet, if you have a smartphone, you can log on, start an account, and pretty much buy crypto within the week, right?
Yep.
That was not a thing a year, 4 or 5 years ago. So it's once again, it's like it's like when Apple, how does Apple get to $1 trillion market cap? It introduces the iPhone, but then how does it get higher, and how does it keep building value? And that has to introduce the iPad, and so on and so on. So the market's got to have different things going for it to add value. But when the bear market comes, and everything's just based on percentages, right? So the bear market, there's a solid 9 months of straight volatility, like you said, that is just epic, right? So you get this first fall right here, which is in the first 2 weeks, right after we top for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
50% just about, right? So then you get this dead cat bounce, right? So from that to the top, you get a 60% move upwards, which at this moment, this is when all the altcoins top, essentially. From there, you still, obviously we're in a downtrend for quite a while, but every one of these bounces, that's 45% right there.
It's a big enough bounce that it like makes them rethink it.
Oh, well,
yes.
the altcoins are going to double every time Bitcoin running 96% to the upside, even though it collapsed this much. Like if you're buying in, these pullbacks right here on the altcoins, this is a 200-300% move on the altcoins. They might not be at their all-time high anymore. They might have come down, but as far as a trader goes, volatility, like you said, is going to be, you get volatility pretty much all the way through until about this period, right? Which is about September of next year, right after the September sell-off, right? Let's just say. And this range in 2018, Bitcoin went up up and down like $100 for like 3.5 months.
Forever.
It was miserable. Everything flatlined. This is when most people left, right? And if you didn't leave, you were buying in here thinking that this was the bottom, right? Because we had just, you had this descending triangle here and whatever, and everybody was like, okay, this is just going to break to the upside. And then you had the final capitulation mode, right? So there's a solid 9 months of amazing opportunity right here. And then once again, the idea for me right now is building up the buying power in the altcoins, obviously having a solid couple, 8-9 months of trading volume right here, taking the wife to the beach for 3 months right here. And then we come back in and we buy the bottom essentially at the end of next year, right? That's really the idea. The other thing, so that's just to answer that.
You think the bottom is going to be somewhere around October of next year?
I think it'll be December, January of next year.
Okay.
Basically, every top and every bottom has been December, January since Bitcoin's inception.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
I'm going to show that chart again of like why I'm looking at $200,000 to $250,000 Bitcoin that I showed you on Crypto Indio's show, right? So this is 2013. The previous high for Bitcoin was, it's not even here on data, but it was $32. You can Google it. And if you pulled a fib retracement from the top to the bottom, right, this is what it generally looks like. And if you go to this little cog right here and you go down to the bottom, you kick it in the log scale. This is what usually to kind of determine price discovery models, right? So in here, you can see, you know, we busted this white line is the previous high. You bust through the all-time high. You come up, you get tagged here at the 1618, whatever. And we have a bounce right here from this 1272 level. And this is the level I was talking about where every time we bounce from here, 150 days later, it has been the top. So I'm just going to show you that right here. So from that date, scroll over to the top there. It was 148 days. All right, that's just one thing. But also note that the top of this fib level comes right in at the top of the market, right? So a little bit of a blow off top. All right, so we got what 20% blow off top right there. 150 days from the bounce from the 1272 2272 is the top. So we're going to drag this again. So now we got the previous all-time high. We're going to drag that across to the all-time low. I'm going to take this off so it's not as confusing. But so previous all-time high, here's the low. Once again, in a normal fib retrace, you're going to see this, right? It's not going to you know, have everything to the top there. So if you go down to the bottom and you kick that up, you notice again, 2017, this 2.272 comes in right at the top of the bull market. A small 20% blow off top again at the top, right? And if we do this one last time, and also just going back, so I showed how in this one, we bounced from the 1272. It was 150 days to the top. Right here, this is the 1.272. We're going to take it from the day we bounced to the day we topped, 148 days exactly. Once again, right? So drop that one off. And we're going to do top to the bottom, right? So the $30,000 bottom was our 1.272. I got a bunch of targets lined up here, so sorry about that. But I'll zoom it in a bit. So, right, 1.272. We bounce right here. So in theory, from 12 years of data, let's just pull this out 148 days, right? That puts us at the 17th of December, right, to top out.
Once again.
Theoretically, okay? And the 272 comes right in about 200,000, 206,000, whatever. And then 20% blow off top has been what we've seen traditionally. So 2023 puts us about 250. You know, maybe we overextend that. Maybe we go below. But this you know basically just takes us up to the $200,000 target, right? So now, what's crazy about this is that let's just say we have an 80% pullback, right? I'm gonna go to a little cleaner chart here, if I have one. Let's just say you have an 80% pullback from 250, right? This is why I say that the next market could be, you know, $2 million valuation if we see that. 250, and we're gonna say, let's just say we correct 80%, which would be back down to like where we are right now. So 48K, right? And then we do the same deal, right? With that theoretically here, right? This is just straight speculation, but we do the top to the bottom and you come up to the top here, and that puts Bitcoin valued at $206 million in the next bull run.
Whoa. Not $206 million. What did you say?
I'm sorry, $2.2 million. Yeah.
2.6.
Not 206 million. So, you know, we talk about the diminishing returns, right? So in theory, this would be a 40x. Okay. And in the current markets, damn, where'd I have that one? Blah, blah, blah. Oh man.
The days and how they hit is wild while you're searching for this. The way that those hit what you're showing.
Dude, it's crazy.
is pretty wild. I do.
I mean, that
but the
messes with
thing
my
is
mind.
exactly like Paul's saying though. It's he can know this all day long, right?
Yeah.
But there's those massive shakes that happen in the meantime that happen
Yeah,
that
those psychological
tell you
attacks.
psychologically, hey, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong. It's not happening that way this time.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
It's
Tell your
this. Yeah.
yes.
It's trying to see. It's like, hey, I know you're seeing this in the TA, and it's telling you it's exactly like this, but
Yep.
I'm telling you it's not going to be
Not
this time. And
Yep.
you start
different.
doubting what you know, and you start, panic selling. But man,
Exactly.
that falls for me. That I fall for that, right? Because I just can't believe that something can happen so precisely and have such institutional money, right? Have these elites around the world, these bots, all this stuff, and they just let it happen. And then just say, well, we're just going to rely on psychological attacks on investors to shake them out, but we're still going to keep it the same way. And they're going to fall for it every single time. I'm just like, I can't.
Dude, it's really that simple. And it's all about the time frames, right? Like if you drop the same thing, bear markets, man, I could show people this all day long, and we go into a 2.5 year bear market, and it's just that boring. Like everybody be like, yeah, whatever, I'll come back to, or they just don't believe it, right?
Yeah,
man, I'm telling you, when $30,000 Bitcoin was hitting, and I showed this exact chart, I laughed out of the room, right? Like it was just nah, it's never gonna show you the diminishing returns aspect of that, right? Because I'm pulling these fib levels, and a fib level is not just like this box right here that I'm just going to drag over to the next thing. It's all based on, the high and the low. So if something is higher the second time or lower, you're only pulling it from this small portion. So the very first bull run was about a 505x return, right? 500, it looks like that. 505, okay. 50,000%. Let's just say 50,000%. Yeah. Then the 17 bull run was 12,000%. Right. And then this current one, if we top out, is going to be 8,000%. Okay, and then if we hit $4 million next trip,
4 million or 2 million?
2 million.
2 million. 2 million. Oh, like, man, another 2 million. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
I'm just throwing so that's 4,000, right? So yeah, it's still diminishing returns. It just the price sounds crazy, but
yeah,
you're talking about 50,000, 12,000. 8,000. Next one to 2 million would be 4,000%.
That's gains. Crazy, bro.
For the beginner, what basically, just to make this really simple, I had said Paul and I were on Crypto Wendio show, and we were talking about exactly what he was just showing. And I said, wait a minute. I said, I just disagree with it because of diminishing returns. And basically the idea is that as this gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, it takes more and more and more and more money to continue to push. So how can you just grab a graph and just pull it over? So what he was just showing was that, hey, it actually is diminishing returns. The returns are getting smaller they went 12,000, 8,000, 4,000, whatever those numbers are, because of the fact, just sheer numbers. It's getting so freaking large. Because at some point, I think, and I don't know what you think about this, Paul. I know what Miguel thinks, but I think at some point past 2030, I think we actually settle the heck down. And I think it becomes more
for Bitcoin.
Bitcoin at least, I think, becomes more of a boring asset at that point.
Yeah, and it very well could. 10, 20 years down the road, obviously it's going to have to, settle. It won't be as volatile.
Price discovery comes to an end at one point or another.
Maybe not, but even if it does, it's going to still, you're already seeing the depreciation, right? You had 50,000, 12,000, 8,000, 4,000. The next 4-year cycle puts it at, I would imagine, 1,000. So that's 10x gains. And 20 years down the road, we're going to be looking at just, normal stock market appreciation. So the other thing, by the way, let's just appreciate that Bitcoin's almost $59,000 as we're live right now.
Right now? No way.
What?
58,500.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. They heard us, bro. The institutional money heard us and was like, let's pump this mother.
They were watching it.
It's crazy. It's crazy that the level of generational wealth that this crypto asset, the crypto market will create for so many people in such a short period of time, right? Let's say you got in 2017 and you missed out. It's okay. If you got in 2020, and you're getting in now, it's crazy. in 2020, a year ago, Cardano was 2 cents. Bitcoin was $4,000. Ethereum was $100. And look at the levels that we're talking about for the end of this year, and then the levels that we're talking about for the end of the next bull run, which is around 2025, right? It is crazy the amount of generational wealth. Sometimes I'm over here like doubting my life, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm gonna be a millionaire. I'm set, babe. Hey, don't worry about it.
Honestly, man, it's almost that simple right now. But only for not only, but for the next few months here to build up a brand. A wise person once told me, man, that like it's your first bull run wrecks you, right? Because once again, like I said, there's so many people in this bull run that have lost money, that still are losing money today, right? Because they're so afraid of a possible pullback. Like I bring up a pullback, right? Like I'm anticipating ETH to pull back and whatever, but nothing like fearful at this point. Like September, we had this huge opportunity, right? $4,000 ETH came in. Man, I pulled a pretty big move, right? I pulled out 80% of all my holdings in cash, right? At $4,000 ETH when the FOMO was top notch.
Damn,
then I shorted ETH. Then I shorted it. Then I shorted ETH, right? Once again, like another, like everybody was like, that's crazy. You're an idiot. And we stayed at 4,000 for days, right? So it messes with you a little bit in the sense of being like, man, this could just blow from here. Maybe I'm wrong. Like to me, I already came to terms with like losing if I had to or whatever. I had cash and I buy back in more because I also capitalized on the $30,000 drop, right? When everybody was panic selling, we were panic buying, we were trading all that stuff. So I risked the capital. We're literally $100 away right now from 59K, by the way.
Baby.
So
I want to show you one more thing too, if you guys have time, about the Ethereum price target, right?
Bro, ETH is my girlfriend. I got all day for ETH.
I know Nick's over there like, let's get about that. Let's start talking about that ETH, baby.
So and why though? Like like I said, we're seeing Bitcoin kind of pump here, and it's known as Bitcoin season, right? That's what everybody kind of calls it. It's not cut and dry in the sense of like only Bitcoin rallies, right? Because obviously we just saw the altcoins have a great couple days. Ethereum had a nice little pump, blah blah blah. But I want to show you the previous. Once again, I'm nose deep in Bitcoin, right, for years and years and years, and all I do is overanalyze, how it moves, how things correlate, and whatever. So let me see here.
And then after you show this, will you, as we get ready to wrap up, after you show this, will you tell the people that what they want to hear? They want to know what is your top signal. So go ahead, continue with what you're doing though.
Oh, the top signal is very simple. Yeah, I'll tell you right now. It's going to be Ethereum, right? So Ethereum is going to be the top. I don't care about Bitcoin, right? If it goes to 300K, 400K, 500K, that'd be epic. I don't think it'll get there, obviously, but if it doesn't get to 250, then it is what it is. But Ethereum topping at $11,000 to $13,000. That's going to be my top signal for all the altcoins. Because once Ethereum pulls back, all the altcoins come with it, right? It's not like Bitcoin. Bitcoin pulls back, the altcoins rally a bit. But when Ethereum decides that it's done, it's done. And I'm going to show you that right now. So,
somebody in the comment goes, Nick, heavy sweating intensifies.
All right. So I just posted this actually in my trading group today, right? I'm looking for this like possible pullback, which I still pretty certain we might get it. But if we don't, that's okay too. But it's very interesting that you'll notice the date on October 17th, 2017, which is once again, like I said, the 150-day marks from those,
which is Saturday.
But just in general, it doesn't matter that exact date, but it's within these few days here, which is crazy. We had the same exact movement for Ethereum, which this is the 2017 bull run. And right now, if I pulled up the ETH chart, which I'm not going to do that right now, but you'd see this similar move where we're having this pump up to this level, right? This 0.786 fib level here. But anyways, I wanted to show you more so how I'm going to line these up. So you see how my cursor on the bottom right here on ETH, it's moving, and then up top on Bitcoin, it's correlating to the same time frame, right? As you scroll.
Yeah. I see. I see what you mean. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to take this off. So Ethereum had this summer top, September top, and then right here where I was talking about how this is like a Bitcoin season as what we're seeing now. So this is the previous cycle, but what we saw before was Bitcoin rallies like 150% and Ethereum trends sideways.
Yeah.
It did have this one pump right here to get everybody excited, and then we basically pulled back and we went sideways again, which is I think what we're kind of seeing right now. And that level is exactly at 3,800 and like $30, right? So
you heard it here, guys. Start shorting Ethereum. It's all over.
No short, don't short, but take some longs if they come down. But anyway, so note the top, right? So you see how like on Ethereum as we're trending sideways, look at Bitcoin's price action, right? Just rallying straight up top. And we're still trending sideways. And up here, this is like a solid like 150% move out of Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
Right? This is 160% move out of Bitcoin, which in theory would take us up to 100K on BTC if we saw the same price action. And then here in November, Ethereum breaks out, right? And then this is when everything launches. So this is actually after the 30% pullback we see in Bitcoin. So to me, what I see coming is a pretty decent rally. We have some small 10, 15% pullbacks, whatever, but a pretty decent rally, basically up to 90 to 100 to 110K. From there, you get a 30% pullback. We drop back to 70, or maybe when we retest the previous high, 65K. And right after that, everything takes off, right? So at that point, you got Bitcoin just run into 250 by December or whatever. And then you got all the altcoins. You got Ethereum taking off, everything taking off. And then as far as Ethereum being the top, I want to show that example.
That's so fast. That's such a hard,
that's crazy,
run.
bro. All that's gonna happen in the next next 6 weeks, bro.
People are going to be losing their minds. Miguel, it's a good thing we got this on.
It's you're not ready for it, right, man? Like, and that's the thing. Nobody's gonna know where to sell. Nobody's gonna know what's going on. You're gonna have so much. It's gonna be information overload. I just
want to let you guys know I've been ready to be rich my entire life. Just been waiting, diamond handing the whole way there, bro.
All right, so I'm gonna take this off, but I want to show you this. So Ethereum has like, dude, spot on, been the same price action, right, since this high. So we're gonna draw this fib top to bottom, whatever, and I'm gonna drag this across here. So I'm gonna make this a little transparent so it's just easier to view. And once again, I got this in log scale, right? So if you're trying to do this from home, the original way is gonna look like this, all right? And it's not gonna do the top. You got to come down here and hit this fib levels based in log scale. That's gonna take you up. All right, so top, bottom, your September top, your September sell-off, and your sideways action, your breakout in November. So this is the key, right? So essentially you break out, you come back down, and you retest the previous all-time high. And this is in November, right? Middle of November, whatever, first week, who cares? Sometime in November here, we'll probably see a similar move. That's going to equate to about a $5,000 Ethereum in November. From there, we rally up to this 1618. Right, which is, I'm going to show you this here in the current price action. And then once again, though, look at what we get here, right? This is a massive correction from this spot. Everybody's going to be waiting for the top to come in. That's a 45% pullback in one day. That's going to shake people out, right? So when you think about these ideas like, oh, is this, if everybody knows this, whatever, like this stuff shakes people out, man, left and right. It's still going to be no joke on the way up. But anyway, so you got this little pullback right there. You're topping right here at the 1618, and then so you got right here is November, right? You got the November right here. You basically got your December price point right here, and then we're going to come in and top at this 2, okay? So, and that's in January. So top comes in, everything from there is a tumble, and literally this is the January 12th, 13th, 14th, and essentially most altcoins are going to top out around the same time. So at this point, you're going to be really wanting to look to get out around, basically when ETH starts crossing this 1618, this is when you should start scaling, in my opinion. You do whatever you want, everybody. This is what I'm doing. So at the 1618, which is, I'm going to show you the equivalent price action, Ethereum runs the market, right, for the altcoins. So whatever your altcoins are at this point, this is where I'd start kind of taking profits. And I have targets for a lot of things anyway. So as they're kind of coming into those levels, we'll see how it reacts. So now we scroll over to today, right? And I'm going to make this see-through. Okay. And then once again, so this is how the normal fib would look. And I'm going to kick that up to the log scale. So now this is giving us the targets, right? So
smash up the likes, guys. Make sure you subscribe. Smash the likes, subscribe. We appreciate it.
Subscribe to these guys, man. We got many more debates coming for sure. But I would imagine that we're going to see some sideways action right here. We break out, right? We come up to here, we come down, we retest the previous all-time high. It's going to take us right around to $5,000, right? That's going to be the November level. From there, we bust up to this 1.618. All right, that's going to be your December level, about $8,000. And then the final top would be this 2, which is about 11 to 13. Let's just say there's a little blow off top and it's 13, but $11,000 is that target. So when we start breaching $8,000 ETH, I'm pulling out most altcoins for the most part. So
you're pulling out most of your altcoin positions, but not your Ethereum position.
I don't have any. I have Ethereum in long positions only.
I
don't have any Ethereum. I'm fully in alts right now with with longs and some shorts all over the place between Bitcoin and Ethereum. But mostly.
But you're not holding any physical Ethereum.
No, I don't have any ETH or any Bitcoin anymore, right? Because to me, once again, this is only, and I say only, but this is a 2x gainer, right, for Ethereum at this point. Bitcoin's actually going to outperform, which most people don't believe. But Bitcoin will outperform, going 4 to 5x, right? Being from 50 to 60K, going to 240, that's at least a 4x. So Bitcoin will actually outperform, which is, once again, everybody's got the mindset right now that Ethereum is going to overtake Bitcoin. Ethereum is going to flip its market cap. Ethereum is going to outperform, and it's just not. It's just how it is, what it is. And at the end of the day, too, if we reach that level, you're talking about, once again, think about the guy who bought right here at $90. What is he going to be up at $12,000 ETH when he dumps his bag? He's going to be up a whopping 165x. And that's what this market is all about, right? That guy is going to dump it right then and there, in my opinion. So that's my top. That's my top answer. That's whatever. So hopefully that answers that question.
Crypto
that's
fam,
wild, man.
We appreciate every one of you. There's a lot of new people in the chat. I think CVO brought is there like a
brought the crew, bro? Army? He brought the crew.
Is that what's going on? Because we got a new names in here. We love it. We love it, bro. So yeah, dude, Paul, we super appreciate you coming on, man.
100%.
I want to say this, and Miguel, I'll let you sign us off if you'd like, but I am flying down to Florida to hug you, to embrace you if this happens, okay? And I'm going to embrace you, and I'm going to take you out on a nice date. You can have a nice glass of wine, whatever it is you want to do. Oh my gosh, some of these numbers for me, man, are you know what? They're scared. They scare me, is what they do, because it's like, oh my gosh. Where do I really start to? And that's why we always talk about risk management. And I do want to remind everybody, listen, this is where hopium collides with common sense, right? And so Paul is not just serving up hopium here. He's saying, look, common sense says that a lot of these things should and could happen, right? But you heard what he said. He thinks ETH's going to 13K, but he's going to start selling his bags at 8. Right, he's gonna exit at 8,
and that's the biggest risk management. Yeah, and coming from, I'm sure you guys dealt with this too, but the reason being behind that is, if 13,000 is the top, then the bottom is going to be back down to 2K. So if you sell around 8, 9, 10, like you're still going to be in the top percentile of sales. You might not get the top, and that's where the money's made, right in the middle. The other thing is, every exchange will crash at the top. So plan on that.
And you can't get out.
You can't. And that's the thing. Then you get stuck in the 50% drop, and then your mind, then you, once again, if you have seen the gains in your portfolio, it tricks. If I sell at 8K and it goes higher, it doesn't bother me. But if you see it go up to 13K, and then you get stuck and it drops down to 7 or 6.
I was about to say the regret, regret, like you can kick yourself in the butt and be like, damn, I feel like maybe I could have held out longer. But at the end of the day, you have stacked a bunch of profit, right? But the regret on the other side of that is way worse, where you get absolute, like like what I did in May, right? I was ready to take a bunch of profits and then buy back in. I was going to sell in May and walk away. And I decided not to. I changed my mind, and I learned a really hard lesson. It was like, look, put a game plan together, execute the game plan, Worry about the rest of the stuff later. Put the game plan together so it makes sense. Execute the game plan, and then look at it later and go back and say, hey, this is good. This was bad. This worked. This didn't work. Whatever. But at least you took a bunch of profits as opposed to, oh my gosh, I just can't believe I did.
Yeah, dude. That's that's the last thing I gotta say is keep your greed in check, right? It's not about timing the top. If you try going for that 13K, like CVO said, right, the exchanges are going to start melting. So if you don't have your game plan ready and you're going to think about transferring your crypto over to the exchange at that moment to try to sell at 13 or 12, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Get your sell orders ready, get your game plan, and keep your greed in check. Don't be greedy, guys. Either way, you're making life-changing money. Generational wealth is being created right here in this next decade. Don't let greed steal it away from you.
Yeah,
exactly.
No doubt. Crypto fam, we appreciate each and every one of you. If you guys aren't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, smash up the likes. Make sure you're following CVO. If you're not already, make sure you fix that. TikTok, YouTube, right, Paul?
Yeah, I got both, yeah.
TikTok and YouTube. Yeah, guys.
We'll put your socials in the description.
Yeah, we'll put all your stuff in the description. So thanks for coming on, man.
Crypto
we
appreciate
it. Until next time,
HODL like it's hot.